everybody, this is the weekend. So Dirty Dancing, it took me to the day before yesterday to actually see it for the first time. So this review of the Patrick Swayze classic from 1987 is not going to be a will it still hold up? Is it as good as I remembered it? It is how good is the movie. There are a few movies from the 1980s that I know I still haven't actually seen, like The Breakfast Club or Pretty in Pink. Or we have movies that, it took me a long time to see. It was, last year I for the first time saw the movie Flashdance, a pretty decent movie, not something, I would, pop in every once in a while, but it was a pretty okay movie. So we're gonna take a look at today what is arguably one of the most classical 1980s movies of all time and see how good it is. This is Dirty Dancing. So baby, real name Frances, has come to this hotel lodging place in New York. It's 1963 and she is, on the verge of becoming an adult and, trying to find her place in the world and stuff like that. She has, ideas that she's gonna change the world and, make a mark on, history and stuff like that. But for now, she's basically going to do a lot of summer activities here, by the lakes and stuff like that. All the activities, by the way, are spearheaded by Wayne Knight. Hello, Newman. He's basically the same character as he would play a decade later in the Seinfeld sitcom, and it's kind of weird to see that, but it's also kind of fun because I really love Newman and I love Wayne Knight. But she is most interested in the dancing thing, mostly because that the dance instructor is the incredibly talented and immensely charismatic Johnny Castle, played by Patrick Swayze. Now, has there ever been a more masculine and more action movie type of a name than Johnny Castle? I don't know, but I feel like a scrawny guy gets a full fisherman's beard every time I say his name. Anyway, she needs to fill in for one of the employers of Castle who, has been knocked up by an asshole, and because of the effect of an illegal abortion, it takes her off the shelf from, performing together with Castle. Baby and her start training together to be able to, do the moves. Will she be able to do the lift with him? And what's going to happen when her dad finds out about this blossoming romance between her and Castle? And is her sister going to, hook up with asshole McDouchebag that is, hanging around there? We shall see. To be absolutely fair, Dirty Dancing is pretty thin when it comes to the plot. It is mostly lots of training montages and Castle and Baby having fantastic chemistry together, and Patrick Swayze is moving like a god and he is so pitch perfectly casted in this one. It is frightening. But you're still with them and you're still kind of curious where this one's going, and there is kind of a somber, melancholic atmosphere hanging over this movie, leading to one of my low-key favorite moments in the entire movie, except of course for the ending, which we will get to in a second. It is, when the owner of this place, who has been a stick in the mud for the entirety of the movie, essentially, standing there and watching, everybody's being happy and things like that, and he says that, how long will this last? Kids today don't want to be here. They want to go to, Europe, visiting multiple countries and seeing things. They want to see the world. They don't want to see, this place in New York anymore. And you're getting this kind of sad moment when he kind of realizes this is one of the last moments where we are sort of still on top of things. Things will kind of, fall off a cliff in the years to come, but right now is the last hurrah. It's a sequence very rarely talked about because, shortly after this, it is Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner and all that stuff. But for me, it is one of the low-key greatest sequences in this entire movie. But nobody really talks about this because we have to talk about the fucking ending. As I said, this movie is kind of short on plot, but they have a lot of characters and, side character arcs and stuff like that that has been, floating around. And for some bizarre reason, they're able to squeeze in around 15-20 minutes of plot where they tie up all the loose ends, give everybody a nice finish to their character's arc in like 7 minutes, at the same time as they're playing just I've had the time of my life, and we have, you know, Nobody Puts the Baby in the Corner and The Lift and all those things. And it is such a cathartic moment that you just leave the whole thing with a joyous feeling that you've seen something fantastic, and you completely forget that most of what preceded these 7 minutes of absolute awesomeness is kind of dragging and not a lot of stuff happening. And as I said, mostly training montages and Patrick Swayze being awesome. Not a lot of, you know, things happening, as I said, but this is how you end a fucking movie. Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze has great chemistry together, and you're feeling like you're there. You're feeling like you are in New York 1963, except of course for the songs, because this movie is set in 1963, but most of the songs on the soundtrack is basically 1980s classics that doesn't feel out of place at all. I don't know. This movie also featuring one of the greatest song tie-ins of all time, I've Had the Time of My Life. It's a fantastic song, but in this movie and in this context and in this finish, it grows to an absolute titan of feel-good moments. If you have never seen Dirty Dancing, see it! It doesn't matter that it doesn't have a plot for 95% of the runtime. It is that last 6 or 7 minutes that ties the whole thing together and makes this movie into the 1980s classic that it actually is. It's kind of a tricky movie to rate. What if it didn't have that cathartic last 6 or 7 or 8 minutes? What would we have ended up with then? I don't know, but I'm giving Dirty Dancing 66 points. It is an absolute classic, but it is a little short on plot, and there are moments where the slow pace kind of drags this movie down with itself. But as I said, it's how you leave them, folks, and this movie left you incredibly satisfied and incredibly happy with just one of the greatest finales of all time, where everything is tied up and best of all, leaves you with that warm fuzzy feeling inside that you so rarely get in movies today, but this one was able to do it. So we'll see you next time for, well, so and so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.